This is episode 297 of the Beyond the Food Show, and today this podcast is dedicated to anyone who self-identify as an overthinker, an anxious person, a people pleaser, a perfectionist. I'm going to teach you how to Marie Kondo your thoughts, or the art of decluttering your mind. You can be in control of your mind. It doesn't have to control you. Ready? Stay tuned. Welcome to the Going Beyond the Food Show. I'm Stephanie Dodier, clinical nutritionist and creator of the Going Beyond the Food method. And after a 25-year dieting career that started at the age of 12, I decided to say hell no to diet culture and undiet my life. It is now my mission to help women undiet their life. If you're new to our podcast, be sure to grab our free podcast roadmap at stephaniedodier.com/roadmap. Ready, sisters? Let's do this. Hello, my sisters. Welcome back. I'm going to dive right in this week. I'm going to teach you something that is likely to blow your freaking mind, especially if you're not yet familiar with thought work or self-coaching. And if you are somebody who's been watching from the sideline, listening to the podcast, not quite getting it or not quite sure if this is for you. I was coaching a student who is self-identified as an overthinker, and I came up with this mind-blowing analogy to help her. And I'm like, I have to share this with the world because the result that it gave her, like the ha-ha moment she had listening to me, I'm like, I gotta give this to the world. This woman had been experiencing, for as long as she can remember, self-critical thoughts about her body, which was leading her to be super conscious about food and on and off with exercise. That's why she came to us. When it wasn't about her body, therefore about food, her overthinking was about her work, about her partner, about something else in her life. She was never at peace. Her brain was on what she described as constant overdrive with constantly different opinion about the same thing. And I was trying to coach her using the framework that I typically use with most of the client. And I was offering her different perspective and different thought, but her human brain was offering her the thought that my coaching wasn't for her. It was not going to work for her. So her human brain was arguing with me for a solid 15 minutes. And ladies, sisters, I started laughing after about 13 minutes of coaching her, not because of her, because of me. I was a glorified overthinker. So when I began my journey of entering this world of taking the control back of my mind, I have to tell you this. I was a royal pain in the butt for my coach. Thank God my coach was as strong-minded as I was, because I was a pain, because I was arguing with everything she was telling me. I had a rebuttal, a very logical argument for every coaching tip, every proposition my coach was offering me. And thankfully, my coach was an ex-lawyer, so she was like great at arguing with my brain. And so when I was coaching my student, I had this like flashback of my mom telling me years and years ago, wait until you have kids. You'll see how much of a pain you are. And I had this flashback because, oh my God, this is what was happening. I was being presented with this amazing woman to coach who was me years ago. So I had this funny moment. I had to share with you this, and just to show you that things can change, and through coaching and undieting your brain and your life, you can become a different person. That's who I am today. But 5 or 6 years ago, that wasn't the case. So go back to this client, the student that I was coaching. That's when this analogy came to my mind after like 13 minutes of arguing with her human brain. I'm like, I gotta try a different technique. So I want you to think of the process of undieting your brain from all the diet culture thoughts and the beliefs and the self-critical thought, like Mary Kondoing your mind. Now, let's pause here for a minute. In case you don't know who Marie Kondo is, let's explain this for a minute. Marie Kondo is a Japanese organizing consultant who wrote the book, The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up, the Japanese Art of Decluttering and Organizing. She is also the TV show host of a show on Netflix called Tidying Up. So you may have seen her on Netflix or read her book. A few years ago, she was the international bestseller in the world. I'm pretty sure most of you have learned or known of Marie Kondo, but in case you don't, she has this genius approach to decluttering, and go watch Netflix if you have seen it. The way she teaches people to declutter their home or their space, the things that fills up their home and their space, is by picking up the things and asking themselves, is that thing sparking joy for me? And if the answer is yes, then you keep the thing. And if the answer is not, this thing no longer sparked joy for me, then you thank, literally, you're thanking this thing for being part of your life and for the service it did for you at some point in your life, and then you let it go. Guess what? It's exactly the same thing with our thoughts. Thought work and self-coaching is exactly that. It's decluttering our mind from all the thoughts that are no longer serving us, therefore sparking joy and getting you to where you want to go in your life. So I want you to think of the things that makes up the clutter in a space in your home. I want you to think of the things as your thought. So over the years of living your human experience, you've acquired thoughts or things. Right? The clutter in your space is the thing you bought, you purchased, you were given. Perhaps it's your mother who's giving you gift or bought things for you that are now cluttering your space. The same thing with your thoughts, right? You have thoughts way back from your family of origin, perhaps 20, 30 years ago, perhaps again from your mom, right? You watched your mom picking at her body, the size of her thighs or her belly, and commenting on her body and going on a diet. You've acquired thoughts and beliefs from your mom, perhaps as young as 12 years old. And you keep thinking these same thoughts for 20, 30 years up to today. Perhaps you picked up thoughts from the TV, right? From watching the TVs or movie. Diet culture thoughts like weight equals health, or fat people are lazy, or fat people are to be made fun of. Perhaps you picked up thoughts from your group of friends, right? Perhaps it is if you can't be thin, you better work hard at pleasing everyone around you to make up for the fact that you're not thin. And then there's all the systemic thoughts from the system of oppression like patriarchy that we've been learning our whole life everywhere we go. Like, women are not to take too much space. Women who take space are bad women. We need to be not only physically thin, but through our words to be small as well. Don't shake up things. Don't disturb anything. You get my drift. You picked up a whole collection of thoughts all along your life, and you've kept them. You've kept them, and now you have this room filled with clutter. You have a mind filled with thoughts that you keep thinking on repeat that make you say, I'm an overthinker. Or perhaps you say, I have all kinds of anxiety in me and I don't know where they come from. They come from the clutter in your mind, the thoughts that no longer spark joy, but instead they spark anxiety for you. Thoughts are like the clutter that Mary Kondo is coaching people to get rid of. You can purge. You can get rid of these thoughts. If a thought doesn't serve you anymore, you can say goodbye. You can put that thought out the door. Now, just again, another pause here in case you're like tripping on this podcast for the first time and you're like, yeah, but a thought is a fact. Like, I have to keep thinking these thoughts because they're true. If that's you, listen up. You don't have to believe your thoughts. When you think a thought, it's not a fact. A thought is a string of words put together by your brain to formulate an opinion. A thought is a descriptor. A thought is subjective. That's why we have a world filled with people that have different opinion on the same thing. Your thoughts is just an opinion. It's an interpretation. It's a reflection. Just like the thought you're perhaps thinking, quote, I'm not good enough. That's the opinion of your brain on you. It's not a fact that you're not good enough. It's just you've come to believe it was true because you've been thinking it hundreds of thousands of times over decades. But it's not a fact. You are good enough. All humans are good enough. But because you keep thinking the same thought, you've convinced yourself that it was true. You can discard that thought. You have the power. You have the authority to discard the thoughts that are no longer serving you. Or as Mary Kondo would say, the thought that no longer make you feel joyful. Pick up your thoughts, investigate if they make you feel great, and if they don't, out the door. That's thought work, is Mary Kondoing your mind. And if you're not feeling good right now, if you're not getting the dreams that you want to achieve in your life, if you have anxiety, if you're a people pleaser, a perfectionist, an overthinker, it's because you have thoughts in your brain that are no longer serving you now. You have to respect these thoughts that are no longer serving you. Because at some point, they did serve you. Right? Part of the process of Marie Kondo, this is why I think this analogy is so brilliant. Marie Kondo teaches you to thank the things that are no longer serving you and spark joy. The same thing with your thoughts, my sister. If that thought no longer serves you today, I guarantee you that at some point in your life, that thought served you. For example, when you lived in a well-entrenched life of dieting and you didn't know that intuitive eating existed, that you could accept yourself. You've never heard of body acceptance or the non-diet approach. You really believe that point, that you would be rejected. You would be all alone. That thought that you needed to diet served you. Your brain created that thought and allowed you to think that thought because the fear of being rejected was real. But today, you know, it's no longer true. You know you can accept your body. You know there's no good or bad food. You know you can decide what you have to eat for your own damn self. So thinking the thought that you have to control food, that you are ugly, that you can't accept your body, that creates massive confusion in your brain. You're living into two worlds. You gotta let go of one of those thoughts. That's Mary Kondoing your brain. Thought work is as simple as purging your home from clutter. Literally, the thought work, the self-coaching, I was trying to coach my client. If I come back to the beginning of the podcast, I was trying to explain to her how to purge the old thought out of her brain. I was coaching her on using the framework we teach inside of Undiet Your Life, which is literally to write down your thoughts on the circumstance you're struggling with on a piece of paper, inventory your thoughts, look at them. Did it make you feel great? Did they serve you at some point? Are they serving you now? And then letting them go. Thank them for the service they did to you, and then letting go those that don't serve you and only keep the one that serve you now. Marie Kondo has this great quote that I'm going to read for you now. The space in which we live in should be for the person we are becoming, not for the person we were in the past. It's the same thing with your mind. The thoughts that fills up your mind right now should be in majority about the person you want to become, the dreams that you want to achieve, the goals you want to meet. You have to think thoughts on purpose for who you want to become. That's what we call intentional thinking, which is the phase 2 of thought work. Right? We purge the clutter, and then we bring in new thoughts that spark you feeling good. So in terms of thought work and in terms of the thoughts that fill up your mind, you have to be intentional to think thoughts in order to become or achieve what you want. You have to have a great analysis of the thoughts you choose to think. Do you critically review the narratives you are exposed to? And do you only select what serves you? You have to develop this critical lens. Here's the truth about life. There is no absolute truth. There's the truth that serves you best based on your values. You have to cleanse your thoughts coming in with that lens. That's what we call detox and retox, right? Are you filtering the thoughts and the beliefs that come to you and only picking what serves you? Now, to all my perfectionists, before you get all excited, you can't tackle your whole life of clutter at once. So the way we do it inside of Undiet Your Life is we first teach you the methodology to Marie Kondo your brain, right? There is a 4-point system that we teach you. And then you take that system and then you select one area of your life. Inside of our program, we propose to you either food or body image. And then you go into one area of your life and then you declutter. Once that's done and you've brought in new thoughts, you move to the second area of your life, right? And then you move to the third and the fourth and the fifth. You declutter your mind space by space. Otherwise, it's too overwhelming. So I'm going to wrap this up here. I want you to fall in love with your mind. Your mind is the asset that makes you shine in this world. This is where your brilliance is residing. And your brilliance is waiting to shine and make the world a better place for you and for everyone around you. You can be in control of your mind. Your mind doesn't have to control you. So if you are experiencing overthinking, self-criticism, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, people-pleasing, black and white thinking, all or nothing thinking, your thoughts are controlling you right now. It is time to take the Mary Kondo approach, declutter your mind, bring in thoughts that will make you feel brilliant, awesome, and amazing, and take control back of your mind. Learn to manage your mind. If that's something you need help with, me and my team would love to help you. I hope this analogy helped you better understand how to undiet your life and undiet your brain. Beyond ready to shed diet culture from your life and become the expert at your own body? Awesome. Then you need to join Undiet Your Life program. Go to stephaniedodier.com/join and join us now. Undiet Your Life is the first program of its kind with the unique combination of mindset, life coaching with intuitive eating and body image. Find your freedom, reclaim your power, and take control of your time so you can refocus on what really matters to you. Join Undiet Your Life at stephaniedodier.com/join, and I'll see you on the other side.